Just a short PowerPoint introduction. My name is Thomas Droob. I'm the Senior Solution Manager for Payment Management at Continia Software. So to begin with, I just have this small presentation. Who is Continia? And just a presentation of our products. So Continia has been in the market since 1992. We actually started out with the payment management product in the Nordic countries, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and we are now expanding it to other areas, Netherlands, now UK, and also going from there to other countries as well. So the things we do is we do like add-ons to Microsoft Business Central, and this is where the finance departments or other departments within the company has some issues where the standard Business Central is not sufficient enough. So we are today in over 15,000 solutions, and a lot of users uses our products every day. We are available for Microsoft Cloud and SaaS, and also for on-premises. And again, we have a strong relationship with the Microsoft Business Central team. So again, some of our products, the portfolio, we have document capture, which is an AP automation, where you can get PDF, XML documents into Business Central. And we can then automatically, based on some OCR, just do the automation of processing these documents and have them processed in Business Central. Also, we have payment management. This is the product we're going to have a live demo of in just a second. It's a complete payment solution for the financial department, where we can have direct communication with the bank, sending files, get status files back. Also, we can also get the statements directly into Business Central. Then we have our expense management product, which is the travel and expense. You can have an app on your mobile phone where you can do take a picture of the receipt and type in some data of the amount and what is the expense type, and then you can just send it and it's automatically within Business Central. Also, we have a web approval portal where you can also do those expenses as well. Then we have document output, which is a product of automating the document distribution of PDF and XMLs in the PEPL format. Also, we can print. So depending on if you send emails, if you want to send an electronic document, or if you want to print, this covers it all, and the processes of sending out documents can be automated completely. And as I mentioned before, we have the web approval portal, which is available for now for document capture and expense management, which means that you can also add your expenses or the documents or approvals within the web approval portal. At a certain later stage, the payment management product will also be available for the web approval portal. So if somebody which is not a Business Central user will have to approve a payment, which also will be possible at a later stage in the web approval portal. So that was just a short introduction. Now the funny part is when we go into Business Central. So payment management, as I said before, we have a lot of exciting stuff. We have integrated the vendor card. We have an integration in the payment journals. We have also from the bank reconciliation part, you can also do approvals directly in payment journal. So to begin with, I want to show you the flow. How easy is it? You have created some document. So we go to the payment journal here. And we have created our own payment journal here because we have added extra value to the payment journal. We have a status column, so you can always see what is the status of your actual payments. Also out here, you can click and you can see who has done the certain steps of either validating or sending a payment to the bank. Also, if there is some payment notification, we have a payment notification fact box. We have some applied entries. And if you have document capture, for example, you can click on the entry and it will open with the view of the actual invoice that you have processed with document capture. And should there be any file errors when importing it into the payment journal, of course, you will be able to see the exact error. So, but our system, we have built in some validation, and that's also why this payment lines now says valid, meaning that we already, before getting it into the payment journal and before sending it to the bank, we do a validation process to look if all required fields, all required information for these payments to go well is fulfilled before sending them to the bank. So if we look at prepare here, we have suggest vendor payments. I already done it. I got the lines in, but we can also suggest employee payments. So if you have expense management and you use employees, we can have employee payments in the same journals as vendor payment. Also, we can suggest customer payments, which means that if you have a negative balance, you have a credit memo on a customer, this can also be imported into the same journal and be paid in the same batch or bulk as everything else. So when I've already imported it, I can go and export and send the payments. We can choose all lines or the selected line. All lines will create a bulk payments. Selected line will do a single payment on the selected line, of course. So clicking OK to this one. We will have an overview of all the payments that's in this bulk payment. And you can also see the different accounts, invoices, what is the balance account. A bulk payment is for one single bank account. So if you have more bank accounts that you have to pay from in the same journal, we will create more bulk payments. Also, if you have several banks, you can use the same payment journal for that. We can handle everything from the same payment journal. The only thing we will do is we will create a bulk for one bank and a second bulk for maybe a Lloyds Bank or HSBC or another bank. Then in this view, we need to authenticate the payment. As we have an integration with an open banking provider called Yapily, now when I authenticate the payment, they will be automatically redirected to the bank. The first time we go in, we say, okay, we use Yapily Connect. But in this case, I will only click OK. Then we are redirected to the bank. And as I have a test environment for this one, I will open my Sandbox Bank environment. But imagine that you have like a NatWest, HSBC, Lloyds Bank, or any other bank, you will be redirected to that specific bank. We need to log into the bank, and then we will confirm the payments in the view we have in the bank. When they're confirmed, the payments will be sent to the bank, and the status of the lines will be updated. The first status that we have after valid is sent, meaning that we have sent the payments to the bank. When the bank then sends us a status back that they have received it, we will update the status to processing, meaning that it's in the bank and it's processing. Because you could have payments in the future. So if you have some payments that has to be due on Monday, for example, this will be processing until Monday, and then we can import a status that says paid, because on the actual payment date, we will get a paid status back from the bank. So also, we have some other functionalities here. For example, the payment journal setup. I don't want to go into that much setup here. I want to just show you some of the functionality that we have. Required posting status, for example, we can set it to paid, meaning that we can only post the lines in the journal that is actually paid. This also means that we will never post a payment that hasn't been paid. We can handle bank holidays. We have bank holidays in the system or in Business Central until the year 2025, and we will keep on updating them for a 5 years period at a time. This also means that we can say before or after. If I say before to this one, this means that if there's a due date on a bank holiday, we will pay it before that actual bank holiday. So also if you're using payment discounts and we use the bank holidays and we use before, we will always take into consideration that there are some payment discount and we will pay it before the payment discount runs out. Because if it hits a bank holiday, it will be paid the next day, and then maybe the payment discount is overdue. We can also set in last due date calculation, meaning that if you always do payments 7 days ahead, 14 days ahead, you can automatically set this in. And when you do the suggestion, it will automatically look 14 days ahead and take payments that are due within that period. So I don't want to go further into all of these settings that you have. So, and then of course, we just need to wait until these payments have been paid in the bank. What we also have is that we can send an email notification. You can either do that automatically when you post them. That means that if you set it to post on status paid, then we can set up an email job, meaning that automatically we will send a notification to the vendor saying that we have sent them some money, also with an attached report, a remittance report, or something like that. So, looking at the vendor card before we go into the reconciliation, just to see what have we added to the vendor card as well. So, in the payment section, we have the balance account. A balance account means that we can, for overall, set that for all vendors, we need to pay from this account. So of course, if you only have one account, we set like a balance account, which means that you have to pay from this account. A balance account can also be set up based on currencies. So if you have multiple currencies accounts, we can set up that for the blank currency, which means British pounds, for example, we will use this balance account. But if we all do payments like in euros, US dollars, we can set up for the specific currency that we will use that specific balance account. And that will be automated when you do the suggestion in the payment journal. We look in the setup and then we choose that specific balance account. The payment methods that we are using is Continia's own payment methods. So we are creating what we call like a faster payment, an international payment, a SEPA payment, a bank transfer domestic payment, which means that we have the full control of the payment process. So if the bank changes something, we will change it from our side, and you will always have the latest updated bank integration and the latest payment methods directly into your Business Central. We will push it out to you, and then you can say, do you want to import this or not? And you can also automate the process, saying every time at midnight, we just do a run. And if there's any new setup, we will automatically update this bank system or the validation if something has changed. This also ensures that, as I said, if the bank changes something, you're running on the latest updates of the banks. Then we have this notification here. So if you want to send the email notification, of course, you have to type in a recipient email. This is the email that we want to send to the vendor and notifying them that we have done this payment. And then you don't need to change anything on the vendor card. So you could have an email up here that you use for other purposes than telling that you have done some payments. And again, you can either say you want to notify by bank or bank and email. Bank and email means that, of course, you always will be notified by bank, but you can also use the email functionality, which means that you need to type in this one. We can also choose what type of notification do we want to give the vendor when sending a payment. So we have created some different ones. So here we can see how that would work. So if we take a short one, it's company name and document type. And then you have an example down here, how that would look. You have the company name, you have the invoice number, for example. And you can also add different ones yourself if you wish to do that. Also, our validation looks at, for example, name, address, postal code, address to, city, etc. This means that if you have a long name up here in the basic information of this vendor, and the name is very long, or you have some special characters in it that the bank can't receive, that could be an error that the bank will reject the payment just based on these simple things. Our validation will take care of this. So when you try to post the purchase invoice, it will say the name, it has a special character, or the name is too long. Then you just put in on the vendor card a part of the name, or the name without the special characters, and then we will use this information to build the file sending to the bank. So this was just some of the things that we have on the vendor card as well. So also I need to switch to another system in order to show you some of the other functionality that we have. Because here I have set up some other things like approval in the payment journal. So just take a second here. I also have set up a reconciliation, so we can import a bank statement and do the reconciliation. Yes. Just to show you how the approval will work if you want to set up approval for different payment lines in Business Central. Of course, we suggest vendor payments. Click OK, get some lines in. Validates the payment once again when importing. So if something should have changed after you posted it, then we will look also in the bank information on the vendor card and such things to make sure that everything is still okay and the payments are still valid. So now I have some different lines in, and the approval you can set up in different ways. You can set it up by amount. You can set it up that you need more than one approver. You can also have say everything up to 500 pounds, you don't need to approve and such thing. So the approval, if you know our other products, document capture, expense management or something like that, then the approval will work like similar, but just for payments. So we can send an approval request either for journal or selected. I will send a journal. No approval has been, just a second. I think I need to do like this. So now it says that it has been pending approval. I can either set it up that I need to approve per batch or per line. So this also means that now I have sent an approval request. I am the approver here, so I will get this button visible that I now can approve this payment. So I can approve, I can reject it, or I can delegate it to another one. So I will approve this payment, and it's now approved, and then I can send the payment in the flow as you saw before. So looking at the bank reconciliation, this means we have now done some payments. We also received some customer payments, of course. So then we want to reconcile our account. So going in, finding the bank that I want to reconcile, go in bank and import bank statement. So now it communicates with the bank and it imports the file and start the reconciliation process. We also build a lot of functionality into the reconciliation process. So if you know the standard bank account reconciliation, you can see that there are some different columns here that are not in standard. For example, the status column. Also a number of reconciliations, additional information, and a lot of others. So this means that we can always see the status on the different lines. You can see if they're awaiting the cash receipt journal. We have found a match based on this case on a document number. Also, some of the lines are awaiting the general journal. If we get some additional information, we can see here what information do we received, and then you can look up and see, okay, is there anything else I can use here to match the payment if it's not already matched? So The lines that we need to look at here is the unsolved lines. So looking at the unsolved lines, the first line here, I have a payment to a vendor. And I know that it matches this one. And this is only because we look at date and amount. You can switch it off if you don't want to have it. It's an extra security, because if we post the payments in Business Central when they're actually paid, the date should be the same always. And then we'll have 100% match. But in this case, this has the 3rd and this has the 4th of November, meaning that I can either set up a tolerance day saying 1 day before, 1 day after, and this will also be automatically matched in that case. But for now, I will just mark them on each side. I will go to the matching and I will match them manually, meaning that it says okay now, and it gets green over here because now they're matched and it has been applied to this one. Also, we can look at the match details, meaning that I can always, on the line I'm on, see what is the matched bank account ledger entry on the other side. This unsolved line has a number of reconciliation suggestions. So I can click on the number 1. And if I just do this a bit larger, I can see it has already found the customer, but there's a difference in the amount. And in this case, the difference in the amount is a possible payment discount. So this we also take into consideration. So if you send out customer invoices where you say you have 30 days to pay it, if you pay within 8 days, you get 2%, and they pay within that period, we can take care of that in the reconciliation automatically. So I just click OK to this one. Then this unsolved line here, this is no additional information, just says it's a transfer. So it could be that I have done maybe a payment directly in the bank or something like that, which doesn't give me any more information. Then we have this manually handling. I can just click this one and I can go and I can create a journal line. So now it is transferred to the general journal. So the last unsolved line, again, I have a number of reconciliation suggestions, already found the customer, but there's a 40 cents difference in the amount. So they paid 40 cents too less than the actual amount. So if I click OK to this one, it will transfer to the cash receipt journal with the 40 cents in difference. So I don't have any more else here. So why these have been matched, these 2 lines that is in the general journal. Everybody has bank fee, everybody has bank interest, or some something that comes into your bank account each month. So for that, we can set up like a general rule for that. So if you find something that is unique, in this case, just basic bank fee, bank interest, we can say within, and then we can set it on a DL account or a bank account with the negative and positive amount. So this means if I find this search text within the text, I can put it on these accounts. And that's what happened with these 2 here. So it's a way of automating some of these processes by matching the lines. So then we have the journals. We have the cash receipt journal. So looking in the cash receipt journal here, it says, attention, there are differences in some of the amounts. We had this one was the cash possible payment discount, and we had this one which was the 40 cent. So what we can do is for the 40 cent, we can set up in the cash receipt journal, we can set up a limit to say everything up to £1 maybe will be, when I post this one, posted on a different account. And this will happen automatically. And then the customer ledger entry will completely be applied. For the payment discount, I will just leave it and I will post it because this amount will be posted on the payment discount account, and also the customer ledger entry will completely be applied. So the only thing I need to do here is actually post the lines, and then they're also reconciled in the reconciliation. But before I do that, also you can see here there are 3 lines that says payment from headquarter. So these 3 lines, in the notification, we received 2 invoice numbers, and based on those 2 invoice numbers, we can split them automatically into different customers. And we can do, this is only like 2 lines, but we can do it on multiple lines. There's no limitation. If you have the information, we will find it and we will split them out to the different customers and apply them to the customer ledger entries. So in this case, I will just post the lines here. Yes. Going back to the reconciliation, we can now see that the status has been updated to OK. So awaiting the general journal. This means that also we have in the general journal, we have some lines that we need to post. We were always already aware of the bank fees and the bank interest. So these can be posted immediately. But this one, where we manually transferred it to the journal, of course, we need to apply a GL account or anything else, depending on what this transfer was all about. So I will just put on the same account for this one. So, and then I can post these lines. Now, everything is now updated to status OK. So this means that we can also just post this one. Before I do that, I will just show you some of the other things that we have here. Of course, we can set up other rules. We can set up some customer reconciliation rules, some vendor reconciliation rules, and also employee reconciliation rules. And this we also have because we have expense management. And for that, if you have some expenses, we can also set up some rules to match those if they are not automatically matched. If they're done in our Business Central using expense management and paid out by payment journal with payment management, of course, these will be reconciled one by one. So just looking at a customer reconciliation rule, meaning that we can do some simple things. We can set up, if you find this text, we will apply it to this customer. And this is only in those cases where the customer never sends us any information. And we know those customers are there. So those customers, we can set up these simple rules. We can look in the description, or we can look in the additional information field, meaning that we can look in the description field or in the additional information to see what information do we have to match these. If you have some lines that you need to merge, this means that if you've posted one single amount in your bank account ledger entries in Business Central, but you receive multiple lines in your bank statement lines. If there is something that is common for these, we can set up a merge rule saying, based on this value, we will merge these into one amount, like you see here. I have merged 2 lines with 2 different amounts on it. So if there's one identifier for all of the lines in the text, we can merge them into one line and match them to one amount in the bank account ledger entry. So as you see here, we have built in a lot of stuff to do the bank reconciliation. And what we normally say is that we will have like a 95% match, and then you can set up the different things. And if you do it well, you can get up to like never 100, but a 99% match on all lines you get in based on this functionality. So also, then we just need to go in and we need to post these lines. So when we post these reconciliation lines here, we can see the bank account statement that we have just posted. Also, when we post this, we post all the information that we have received for these specific lines. And now it opens the bank account statement. If you want to find it afterwards, you can go to the bank account. On the bank account, you can also always look up all of these posted statement lines. So in bank and statements, here we have all the statements, and looking at it, you can see it with all the information. So if you find out that you have done something wrong, you can also undo it, meaning that you will open it again in the reconciliation. You can just unmatch the line that is not supposed to be matched, match it with another line, and then post it again. and then everything is posted again. So this was how to do payments, vendor payments, also to do the bank reconciliation within Business Central. So to begin with, we, as I said, we have the open banking provider called Yapily in the UK. And they're also FCA approved. And we are in the middle of also being FCA approved, which means that everything that we will do, everything that happens with the data that we transfer between you and your bank will be safely handled within Business Central and within this product as well. So I think I know I had a half an hour, but I used 26 minutes, but hopefully there are also a couple of questions for me that I can answer.
Hi, Thomas. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
There's no questions at the moment, but I think Ben had one here in the room.
Yeah, hi. It was just to check which UK banks are currently supported.
Actually, if we talk about Yapily, Yapily supports all UK bank, but from our side, we have decided to start out with the banks that says Barclays, B Bank, Clydes Bank, HSBC, Lloyds, National Westminster Bank, the Royal Bank of Scotland, Revolut, Santander Bank, Ulster Bank, Bankline, Virgin Money, and Yorkshire Bank. But if there are any other banks that people want to have, we can easily build it. But there are some limitations within the open banking system that says some banks can do bulk payments, some banks can do single payment. We decided to go with the larger banks that can also do bulk payments. So to begin with, these are the banks that we would integrate with, but it doesn't take us a long time to add a new one. So if you have a request for another bank, we would just easily add it, because Yapily can do all banks in the UK.
Thank you. And I'm guessing they also integrate with banks in Europe.
We can also integrate with banks in Europe. Yes, we can. But it will be, when we go into the UK market, we will have these banks to begin with. We also have a couple of other banks, Nordea Bank, Danske Bank, some of the banks that we already have in the system that is integrated within this. But it's easy, as I said, for us, because we already have the integration to add those banks. So if you have a requirement for a bank, then just let us know and we will add it.
Okay, thank you.
Did anyone else online have any questions? I can't see any in the box at the moment.
Okay, well, thank you, Thomas. That was very useful, very interesting. We're now going to have a half-hour break, and at 11:30, Ben is going to show us a bit about Power BI, and then I'm going to talk about the Shopify connector. So if we can log on back on in half an hour.
So yeah, I'll put our cameras and our microphones on mute. We'll leave the system open, so you don't need to log into anywhere different. Just come back to this meeting in half an hour.